and welcome to the 7th episode of my Dreamvlog series. I'm Nora from Nora Healings, and in today's video, I want to talk about techniques and tools that help to make you feel safe and protected during sleep. It's a topic that kept coming up in the last couple of weeks in one way or another, so I thought I'm gonna make a video on it. And in the end, I will share two dreams, or rather two dream scenes that I remember, where I actually believe that my spirit guides made an appearance. So many people experience or fear some type of energetic attack or attachment or influence while we're asleep. And during childhood, I think most of us thought that there was a monster under the bed or in the closet or somewhere in the room. And to be honest, meanwhile, I believe that what I saw and felt was actually real for the most part. And especially as a child, we're much more sensitive and attractive to all kinds of energies and beings from other dimensions and realms. And we can see them and sense them because we haven't been conditioned enough yet to believe that it's just imagination. And we're just naturally so open. But also for adults, something happens while we fall asleep that seems to attract all kinds of energies. And I believe that most of them don't mean any harm. I can imagine that the process of falling asleep and how someone's astral body detaches from the physical body can be quite fascinating to watch. And maybe many of the what we call shadow beings could just be people astral projecting, or beings that maybe live in the astrals that just like to watch people falling asleep. And the thought might be a little bit creepy, but I really think that it's harmless for the most part. And yet it can happen that some negative energies or beings can creep in with some strange intentions, but I don't think that it's very common. But the point is that many of us feel vulnerable during sleep because we feel exposed and defenseless, and we fall into this more or less unconscious state. And the closer that we get to the state of sleep paralysis, the more we start to hear noises, voices, have strange sensations, and oftentimes we feel a presence in the room. But actually, everybody experiences sleep paralysis. It's just a function that keeps our physical body from acting out the movements in our dream. And usually people are already unconscious while it happens, but the longer we stay aware, the more we get to witness the strange effects of it. And during the process of falling asleep, the astral body starts to loosen itself from the physical body more and more. And if you know on a subconscious level that you are safe and protected, it's just much easier to go through the whole process of falling asleep, just calmer and at peace. And to reach that, I think, first of all, it's really important to have some kind of a daily practice of energetic hygiene in yourself and in your environment. And whatever your personal routine is, just make sure that your place is clean, that you are clean and energetically cleansed, and that your bedroom is clean and well ventilated. You will definitely want some fresh air in your bedroom. And additionally, you can always create some nice ambience with crystals and salt lamps, essential oils, nice smells, and just make sure that your bedroom is a place where you like to stay in, where you feel comfortable. And I will talk about some helpful tools as well, but they are not necessary. You can absolutely do amazing things just with your energy and intention. And I will talk about these techniques first, where you don't really need any tools. And the first would be meditation. Daily meditation or meditating before going to bed is really helpful. Even if you just do it a couple of minutes, And it doesn't have to be a specific type of meditation. As long as it helps you to center yourself and to calm the body and the mind. And if you can, just make sure that you don't go to bed frustrated or stressed or sad or angry. And I know that it's not always possible, but just do the best you can. What is also very helpful for me is journaling. Most of the times I do that with the meditation or afterwards. And it can be a good way to let go of the day so that your mind won't be busy with all of the thoughts when you want to sleep. I just like to go within and play through the entire day in my mind. I like to do that actually before the meditation. I just play through the day from the moment I got up until now. And I just pay a little bit attention to the thoughts that either keep showing up or that feel kind of important. I also like to write down what was positive or negative in that day. And as I meditate and my mind starts calming down, I notice that certain thoughts keep kind of looping through. And these are the ones that I grab and also write down. It doesn't really matter what it is about. It can be something that I just want to do the next day or that I want to remember the next day. And instead of instead of letting it loop through my mind, I can let go of it easier after writing it down, because then I feel like it's safe and it won't be forgotten. Then if you are sensitive to energies, maybe you want to try to turn off all electrical devices and also unplug them, and try to not have your phone near you while you sleep. Or if you have to have it in your room, at least make sure that it's on airplane mode and that it's not near your head. Turn off the Wi-Fi, just try it out. I do feel a difference. And to create an energetic field of protection around you, your place, your body, you can use visualization as well. So you can visualize a pyramid, for example, or a sphere of light, or a Merkaba, or whatever works for you. Then another thing that I find very powerful is praying. Just finding a way to connect to spirit, to the spirit guides, the angels, God, your higher self, and ask for protection. I love to connect with them before falling asleep. And I usually ask them to either wrap me in a bubble of light to protect me during sleep. And lately I also started to really ask them to show up in my dreams so we can connect there. And the next method is one that one can do with or without tools. It's about cleansing the space in the bedroom energetically. So you can absolutely just do it with your energy and your intention. You can kind of sweep the room with energy and then open up the windows. But I also like to burn either sage or palo santo or frankincense. And when I do that, I make sure that everything is open. So I leave the closet open, I leave all the drawers open, and make sure that there's a lot of smoke and that it really fills the room. And then I open up the windows again so that the air will be clean and fresh. And next, let's talk about crystals. This is going to be a little bit of a longer chapter, because I want to mention a couple. Well, actually, they are my favorite crystals when it comes to sleep, protection, and just a nice energy in the room. And I'm gonna begin with rose quartz, I would say. So I'm just gonna show you. I like the really big chunky ones, especially to have them in the room. I just feel like rose quartz emits this beautiful, calming, I would call it heart energy. in the room, and it protects against negative energies and radiation as well. But I also like to have a smaller one under the pillow or just close to me. So rose quartz is really powerful. And the next one that I want to mention is, let's go with amethyst. Amethyst is one of my very favorite crystals, and it was also the one that basically called me to this crystal kingdom. So to me, crystals are living beings and they can talk, and they do. And amethyst is, this just has also this beautiful calming energy. And I know that some people react quite strongly to it. Some feel a little bit heavy or tired or kind of sleepy when there's an amethyst near them. I also feel like it has a very cleansing energy, and I just love amethyst around me. It doesn't really make me that tired or heavy, but I feel like it does help to fall asleep. Really love amethyst. And the next one is also a very powerful one, especially when you have nightmares or anxiety. And that would be the black tourmaline. Black tourmaline is one of the, I would say, most powerful crystals when it comes to protection and shielding. It really does absorb negative energies. In my case, so much so that I like to have smaller ones with me once in a while. And when they work really hard, they just burst. So unfortunately, many of the black tourmalines that I have just burst with the time. But they are definitely very powerful. I can feel it right now. It's also very grounding. And they are awesome for just a deep, dreamless sleep. So I wouldn't recommend to use them if you plan to astral travel or experience interesting dreams. When I use that for sleeping, I feel like I don't dream, but I sleep very calm and very deep. And the next one I want to talk about, that is one of my absolutely favorite ones, is selenite. And when I talk about selenite, I mean this selenite and not the satin spar. Hold on, I'm actually going to get the other one just so that we can compare. So it's actually both, it has the same components, and it's basically the same material in that sense. But if you can see, I hope that you can see, this one is pretty clear and transparent. And this one is milky and very fibrous. And to me, there's a huge difference in the energy. I also like the satin spar. It has a very subtle, yeah, nice and subtle energy, but this one is just really strong compared to the satin spar. So I definitely prefer this one. Also, especially when it comes to charging other crystals or just to charge energetically. I wouldn't use the satin spar to charge crystals. I don't feel that works, because I feel like this one is just kind of softer in its energy. I don't want to say weak, but I would say it's too weak to charge other crystals. That's a really powerful one. At least that's my experience. And the selenite is one that I actually use almost every night. I have it under my pillow. And it just emits this beautiful, very powerful energy of joy. It creates a wonderful field. It goes a little bit further than the aura, but it creates this beautiful, I see it like a white field of light that is, it feels very protective. And it's wonderful for astral traveling. It works with the crown and the soul star chakra, and yeah, just also with the field and the aura. I have many dreams with this one, long dreams. I remember my dreams. It's also very good for lucid dreaming. Definitely one of my favorites when it comes to sleep and sleep protection. And the last one that I want to talk about is also one of my favorite crystals because it just did so much for me, is Labradorite. And there are so many different kinds of Labradorite, but the one that I mean is actually the most ordinary one, I would say. It has a very, very calming energy. And I feel like it also helps to reduce high blood pressure. It soothes anxiety and depression. It also has a warming effect, and I feel like it's very balancing for the third eye and the throat chakra and the thymic and the heart chakra. So I feel like this is where it works. And also the aura, I feel like it creates a similar field like selenite, but it just has a little bit of a different vibe to it and another color. But definitely also a beautiful crystal when it comes to falling asleep at ease and at peace. And I also want to talk a little bit about how to cleanse and charge the crystals. And I know that there are many ways to do that. But I would say for cleansing, you can absolutely use running water for most crystals. Not for all of them, but you can always also cleanse them energetically. So just hold them in your hand and communicate with them and just feel the energy and tell it to release. And they do. And I like to do a combination of both. So I hold it under running water and I communicate to it, okay, release now, you can let it go. And I feel like if I do that, it just happens immediately. But for the ones where you cannot use water, like for example, the selenite isn't one that I wouldn't use water on just because it could dissolve with the time. You can use salt. You can just leave it in a salt bath, or you can even use rice. Definitely also works. And when it comes to charging them, it depends a little bit on the crystal, but also on your personal preference. Again, you can always charge them energetically. Just create the feeling or effect that you want this crystal to emit and project it into it. That's basically how to program crystal. And if you can, just get to know your crystal and let it show you or even tell you the areas that it naturally works with. And what I like to do is I feel where it works and what it does, and then I enhance this. And I hear from many people that they charge the crystals with sunlight, but honestly, I really don't think that's necessary. Sure, the energy of the sun is a beautiful energy to have, also in your crystals, and I feel like it does work very nice with certain crystals. But just the way I see it is that crystals, at least most of the crystals, grow deep inside the Earth's crust, where they actually never see any sunlight. But when they come out of the ground, they are actually perfectly cleansed and charged. So I feel like actually too much sunlight can not only bleach the crystal and the structure, but I feel like it also kind of washes out the power or the kind of like the electric charge within. So I just wouldn't leave them out in the sun for too long. I feel like it can do more damage than good. I like to charge myself with the sun. But I think it's also a beautiful way to charge and cleanse them at the same time would be, for example, to bury them in the ground and let them sit there for a night or so, or to let them sit in a natural river or in a lake or in the ocean. Definitely works beautifully. And for sleep protection, you can also create a whole crystal grid around your bed if you want. And if you're insecure about whether you charged your crystal well or not, and I feel like this is only a message for some of you, you can actually use a scale to measure it, but it has to be a scale that can measure very exactly. And so you can put it on the scale and write down the exact weight, and then charge the crystal and put it on the scale again. And when it shows more weight than before, even if it's only 0.5 gram, then you can be sure that you charged your crystal successfully. Yeah, let's move on from the crystals. The next thing that I want to talk about, just because I also like the effect that it has and the way just the room feels, is orgonite. I feel like orgonite, it kind of cleanses the energy in the room in a way that is, I would say, cyclical somehow. It's like it keeps working. I really like it, but because they also contain crystals, and I have a pyramid and Merkaba here, because they also contain crystals, sometimes I also like to cleanse and charge them, but I feel like they are kind of well preserved in there, and just with the whole effect of the whole thing and the orgonite, I feel like I don't have to cleanse and charge them as often as loose crystals, but I definitely like that. And you can have it in all kinds of shapes. I just really like the pyramids and the Merkabas. And then something that is also helpful, oh yeah, actually what I wanted to mention even earlier, but I kind of forgot, is also a very easy way to have something that absorbs negative energy that almost everybody has at home. And you can absolutely just use salt, or a little bowl of salt water, or lemon, or a combination of both. So you can cut the lemon open in half and then quarter the halves, but actually I don't think it really matters as long as it's cut open. And leave it under the bed. But this is something that you will have to replace every morning or every night. And then having a drawing or a carpet or bed sheets with the print of the flower of life, or some people have the stickers on the windows. I feel like that just also helps to elevate and enhance the overall energy in the room. And I heard that wearing green or having green bed sheets is very helpful. And I do feel like green has a beautiful healing, balancing vibration. So I can imagine that this also helps. And then having a real handmade dream catcher over your head definitely works against nightmares. Again, I feel like they need to be cleansed regularly. And it's not like I can tell that it's necessary to cleanse them every day or once a week or once a month. It really depends, but you will notice it as soon as your dreams start becoming stranger again, then it's time. And another thing that I love to use that creates basically all of the effects that I want at once is the mist that I created. It's the energy shielding and protection mist. And I combined many of my favorite tools and charged it with energy and intention and frequencies that are cleansing, shielding, grounding, and healing. And I just sprayed it around my bed and around my room, around myself. I also like to add some to my bath water or even to my drink if I want the effect internally. And if you want to learn more about the mist, there's a detailed description on how it works and all the ingredients on my website. I will link it in the description. And the last thing that I want to mention that is something a little bit more fancy and that again is not necessary, it's just nice to have. It's called the Energy Rest Shield. And it does so many things, but the thing that I appreciate about it, especially when it comes to sleep, is that it creates this field that stabilizes your energy field against energies that would disrupt it. And it might sound kind of contradictory because I mentioned earlier to turn off all the electrical devices, and it's actually a device that is plugged in. But I do feel like the area that it works in is actually cleared. So I feel like it absolutely works. It emits scalar waves. The tip is made of orgonite. It's a pyramid-shaped device. And the scalar waves are very notable. Even people who usually don't react very sensitive to energies told me that they can feel it and that even the room looks different to them. So yeah, it's just a nice thing to try if you want to. So there are many things that one can do, and it really boils down to what works for you that creates the feeling and the knowing that you're safe and protected. And please let me know in the comments what's your favorite routine and what are your favorite tools and crystals for a nice sleep and nice energy in the room. And now I will share 2 dreams that I had last month that I really believe showed me that my spirit guides are with me in my dreams. And the first dream I'm going to share, I already shared that with one person. So if you happen to watch this video, then you know who you are. I had this dream in the night to January 24th. And in this dream, I was a student in some kind of school or university. We had art class, but not in a classroom because of the COVID restrictions. Instead, we painted in the staircase. And I painted something that usually isn't my style, but I found it kind of interesting. It was a skull floating through space, and its brain was an asteroid or meteor that was kind of fractalizing outwards. It was all black and white with some metallic blue areas. And I was looking at this painting while the restriction rules were announced through the speakers. And I found that really disruptive. And I just shouted out loud, "Shut the fuck up!" Kind of lost it a little bit in that moment. And all of a sudden, there was this woman sitting in one corner that wasn't there before. She wasn't the teacher. Maybe she was some kind of a counselor or an artist that just visited the class. And she smiled at me and clapped her hands and was like, "Yes, finally spirit came through. Yes, shut the fuck up." And I was like, huh. Something about this woman was just really interesting. And it was not just what she said, but she felt familiar and she just had a very unique and interesting energy. And after the class, we had a lunch break, and I was so interested in this woman. I kind of felt so magnetically drawn to her that I wanted to sit near her. And as I approached the table, she was already sitting there. I realized that we were both wearing a very long black dress. I actually kind of miss mine. It's so funny when I dream of clothes that I like that don't really exist. Sometimes I try to create them. Maybe I will try to create this one. It was really nice. It was airy and it was of a light material. It didn't feel heavy, although it was black. It was shoulder free and really nice. And she was also wearing a black dress. And then I sat down and we did have a conversation, but unfortunately, I don't remember anything about it. But I remember that talking to her felt like talking to someone that I have known forever. It was just this very familiar energy. And I feel like she could totally be one of my spirit guides. And in the second dream, I had this just a couple of nights later in the night to January 30th. Totally different scene. It looked a little bit like in an apocalypse movie. It was about the whole system broke down and there was no clean running water, no food, no electrical power, and people were starving. And because of that, people on the streets were really fighting and killing each other. But there were these tunnel structures. They were built above ground. And they were there so that people had a space to move from one location to the other without being killed on the way. For some reason, there was no violence in the tunnels, but outside it was just madness. And in these tunnels, there were also some people who lost their homes and they were kind of camping there, but they were thought to just move through. And I was walking through these tunnels. as I suddenly heard this faint, really high-pitched and I looked around and yeah, there was this tiny lost kitten. It was red and white and it was really, really small. It was the sweetest thing, really. And it wouldn't stop following me, so I decided to keep it with me and keep it safe and to keep an eye open for its mom in case it shows up. And I just kept walking through the tunnels, thinking about what to do, how to get clean water, and just trying to figure out this strange place. And at one point, I stopped and talked to some people in the tunnel. And as I wanted to continue, I noticed that I lost the little kitten. I couldn't find it anymore. It was so tiny that I thought maybe it's just somewhere in my shirt. But then I heard it again and I found it. And that was when I picked it up and I just decided that, you know what, my only mission here is to keep this kitten safe. It was basically the only nice thing in this dream. And that was basically it. The next day I woke up and I just thought that this is not a usual or common dream for me, but I didn't really think of it anymore. I just went about my day. And in the evening, I took a bath. And as my mind started to relax, I started to perceive a presence and a pair of eyes in my mind's eye. And then I saw the rest of it, and it looked like a grown female lion being. And she looked at me while she was laying on her back and kind of rolling sideways. And she was light brown, beige, and her underside was white with a white chin and a little bit of white edges around her ears. She basically very much looked like just a normal female lion. Only her eyes were special. They were enlarged and very blue. And as I just felt into the energy, she radiated this kind of tender, warm, just unconditional love. And I could feel also very much of a strength behind that, but overall the energy felt just very soft and very nice. And I felt reminded of that kitten in my dream. For some reason, it kind of popped into my mind again because the energy was very similar. And I felt greeted telepathically by this being, and I greeted back. And I just asked her if this kitten was her, the kitten in my dream, if that was her, and she said yes. And it was not a conversation with words, it was only an energetic exchange. And then I asked her why she appeared in my dream as this kitten. And she said that it was to test if we would be a good team. And again, it was not an answer in words. This was just what I got. And it seems like this being wants to hang around for a while. So what I get from it is that this was a new way how a spirit guide came in. That's very interesting, and I really welcome this energy. I find it really nice. I have a good feeling about it. And yeah, I'm excited to explore this further. Yeah, and that was basically it for today's video. Thank you so much for being here. I hope that you enjoyed. Please let me know in the comments if you met your spirit guides in your dreams, or just share in what way you like to connect with them and what you experience with them. And if you haven't already, please check out my website, norahealings.com. The link is in the description. I do energy healings, clearings, activations, and more. Each session is very unique. And also the energy shielding and protection mist is up for sale, also linked down below. Once again, thank you for watching. Hope to see you in my next video. Stay well and sweet dreams.